Hello, hello. I'm Chris, and this is Satisfactory. So, if you're not familiar with Satisfactory, it's a game about base building and resource collection and planning logistics. So, you can build more base, collect more resources, and plan out more logistics. Very similar to Factorio. A lot of fun. I have spent so many hours in this game. But like most games I play, I'm not super familiar with all the late game stuff. I always just kind of lose myself in planning out builds instead of like actually progressing. I'm going to try and keep this kind of beginner friendly though, explain what I'm doing. And if you want to play along with me, I'm playing on the Northern Forest start. And I have a spot in mind. If you want to be at the same spot I'm at, the easiest way to get there is to spawn in the Northern Forest. And then you head north until you reach a giant canyon. Like a massive canyon. And once you hit that canyon, just head west and you'll hit this spot. So this is the spot I was talking about, and here's that big old canyon. It just goes on to the other side of the map. So the first thing I need to do is equip my zapper and take care of some of these things. And I just kind of want to get them out of the way. The aliens in this game, animals, aliens, whatever you want to call them, they're not super challenging. I mean, they can dish out a lot of damage, but like one-on-one, they're not really a threat. They only become a problem in numbers, I feel. So this is a resource node. This one in particular is limestone. And you'll see this big spike coming out of the middle. A lot of resource nodes have that, but what you want is this formation on the ground. That's where you pull your resources from. So using a miner, we can plop that on there. And then using a constructor, you can funnel the resources into there, and this is basically your auto crafter. So I'm going to tell that to craft concrete, and I will provide it with power. Put that over there. And I think... yeah, okay. I'm going to place a storage container down there. And what that'll let me do is just funnel my resources into there so I don't have to keep coming up here. So I made a little checklist. So that's our concrete done. Very quick. You'll notice it's not doing anything yet. It's because we don't have power for it. So I'm going to, right here, place my hub. What is the hub? The hub is basically your main base. It provides you with your starting power supplies, which is 2 biofuel burners. So I'm going to plug those in. And you also get a crafting bench. So you can do manual crafting. You get a little bit of storage. And you get your terminal. The terminal is how you progress through the game and do your primary research. So we have our hub down, we have our concrete. I'm going to clear out more of these guys. I would rather just have them out of the way and not have to be worried about than deal with them later. We also need these nodes. Iron is your... I'd say it's your primary resource in this game. Almost everything you do is going to need iron at some point. Even in, like, the late game. So I'm going to clear up those nodes and place miners on each of them. And then, unlike the limestone, these need to be funneled into smelters. Oh, that's a miner. That's why that's not lining up. So if you hold control, you can line up your buildings together. And that makes it easy to organize stuff. So I'll set those both to iron, and then they go into constructors. So that one into there, and then this one. I kind of put these too close, but that's okay. Not a big deal. We need one for iron plates, and then one for iron rods. And they both need power. These power poles only support a limited number of connections. And the ones you start with only supply 4. So it's kind of a pain in the butt to route those things in the early game. Now, before we get started with our copper, I want to grab some more leaves, and we're going to turn this into biomass. So to do that, you go to your crafting, and you have biomass leaves, biomass wood. It's the same end product, but with 2 different starting ingredients. So I'm just going to craft up a bunch of biomass and clear out the area, and then we'll get started on the copper and get that out of the way. Alright. So we got I got the power going. And I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. And I cleared up most of the area around. So now I'm just going to place my miner and my smelter and my constructor. Set this to copper. Then set this to wire. So that's going to produce copper wire for us. And of course, we need to plug everything in. But I don't think it's going to be enough power. I'm going to create another biomass burner, assuming we had the resources ready. I also added a couple of storage boxes here. Reason why you want to do that, even for just one machine, is it gives you multiple slots of inventory. Because if the inventory on the constructors fills up, it just stops producing. So I want to be able to take that out and put it into a box to keep it going. I need just a little bit more wire. So since we don't have that going yet, I'm just going to grab that. And that should be good. Fortunately, you can smelt by hand. It's just a crafting recipe. I'm going to take that and turn it into copper ingots and then into wires. And now we should be able to place our biomass burner. And then plug that in, and that. And that. And yep, not enough power. I'm gonna come in here and grab some of the biomass I made. And this is what your burners look like. They have one inventory slot, so you just fill that up with your fuel, and then for the first time, they'll start going on their own, but if your fuse breaks, meaning you don't have enough power, you're not producing enough, you have to flip the switch to start everything again. And these two don't produce as much power as one of these. But they don't burn fuel at the same rate either, so it's not a big deal. And you'll notice, let me get away from the noise. It's not much better, but whatever. You'll notice you have different bars on this graph. So your yellow bar is how much energy you're currently using. And then your blue bar is how much energy you can use at any one point. You won't ever use more than that. Your black bar is how much energy you're currently producing, which is usually the same as your consumption. Your machines will automatically only make the energy they need. And then your capacity is how much, like your upper cap of how much you could produce. So a really easy way to manage your power is just to have the gray bar above your blue bar, and then you never have to worry about it as long as you can maintain that. So, do I have enough for... Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to add that there. And this will just keep this machine from filling up. So now we have all of our starter resources coming in. And kind of a thing spread out everywhere. But that's okay. We'll fix that soon. So on my checklist here, if you open up an inventory screen, you can hover your mouse over the right side and you get that little gradient, and then you can bring up your to-do list. So we did copper wire, so I'm going to mark that off. And another thing you can do with your to-do list, if you're in your builder, your build menu, and you pick something that you want to build, say I wanted another storage container. Well, there's a little plus up here. You can add that to your to-do list. And then however many you want to add, it'll add the resources over there. And it tells you how close you are to the resources you need. Not too handy with like if you just need to build one or two things, but if you're planning a large build, it is very helpful. All right, one last thing I wanted to look at was our hub, our terminal. So before you can really start planning out factories and getting into the core of the game, you need to research two things, in my opinion. Logistics is an absolutely must-have. You can't really plan a factory without at least researching this first. And then the other thing is base building. It's not strictly necessary, but it is so helpful. So we're going to start off with logistics. And then we need the resources for that. So let's see. Do we have the plates? Very close. Do we have the rods? Not quite as close. So I'm going to let these resources build up, and then I'll be back when they're ready. Catch you in a few. Okay, so now that we got the resources, we can head back to our hub. Not that. This. And then you can either control click, shift click, or drag and drop. And once you get all the resources in there... Once you get all the resources in there, get a big red button. Just press the red button.
Milestone reached. Conveyor belts can now merge, split, and lift to increase the complexity and efficiency of your factory. We encourage you to consider more verticality when it comes to factory logistics to streamline short-range transportation. The productivity display will help you measure and improve the productivity of individual buildings to aid with optimization.
Okay, so once you press that big red button, then you get your unlock immediately. But you see that we have a timer in the top right. Pod will return in 3 minutes, 15 seconds. So what that means is you can't submit resources for another unlock until that pod comes back. So as much as I would like to just do base building right away, if I can click on that, there we go. We can't do that until the pod comes back. So I'm basically just going to sit around, wait for resources, and wait for that pod to come back. A little bit of waiting in this game. At least to start out. But what we can do is we can look at our other milestones. Check out base building. And see we can't... There's no spot to submit resources. So we have to wait for him to get back. Alrighty, we got our drop pod back. And we got our resources for the next unlock. So let's do that. Shove your resources in the little pod. Press the big red button. Now we got base building.
Milestone reached. You have unlocked several structures aimed to provide the first needed to build basic factory infrastructure and improved overview. Building these will provide a grid for more advanced organizing and sectioning of your factory.
I think that is gonna do it, though, for this episode at least. We got a good start going. Next time we're going to play with logistics and base building and make it look a little more like a factory instead of just a conveyor belt machine spaghetti factory. So if you like the video, hit me with a thumbs up. And always appreciate questions and comments. Love responding to those. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and get some new episodes coming your way. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Take care. Oh. Oh. Bump, 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 bump. Bump, 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 bump. Bump. Bump, bump. Bump, bump, bump. Bump, bump.